So guys, let's start with today's egg flip recipe, a Goan traditional recipe. So I'm going to be using 2 egg yolks. We're not going to be using the egg whites for this recipe. You can make an omelette with that. Then I'm going to be using 5 tablespoons of sugar, regular sugar. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of brandy. You can use any brand. And I'm going to use half a cup of hot black coffee. So now I'm going to just get the egg whites out of the way because we're not going to use that. I'm just going to gently whisk the eggs till they come together, both the yolks like this. Now I'm going to add the sugar to the egg yolks. Now the most important part is beating the eggs and the sugar. So for 10 to 15 minutes. Now it's a bright yellow color. It's going to then change to a pale yellow color, and then finally it's going to change to a white color, and the consistency also is going to change. It's going to be nice and thick, almost like a white cream consistency, like a icing consistency, which has peaks. So you have to beat this, and that's the most important part of this recipe. So you can either do it with a fork like this and get a good arm workout, or you can go with an electric beater. That will make your work faster. But beating this egg and the sugar is really very important. Now this is a recipe which has been handed down in my family, from my great grandmother to my grandmother, and my grandmother to my dad, and my dad to me, and I'm going to hand it over to my hubby and kids. So this is a real good remedy if you have a real bad cold. I remember as a kid I used to have every winter, at least once, I used to have this really bad cold, and my dad used to give this to me. So the way you're supposed to have it is, you'll see it in the recipe, but like once you pour in the hot coffee, you've got to drink it instantly, and you have to have this after brushing your teeth. You have to have it on an empty stomach. The minute you get up and brush your teeth, you're supposed to have this, and you're supposed to have it thrice in a week, 3 days immediately in sequence. So you got to make this like fresh every time, for those 3 days, and I'm telling you guys, on the 4th day you'll not even remember that you had such a bad cold. This is my like first hand experience, and I used to love this, and I used to look forward to my dad making this, and he used to put in so much of love and give it to me and make me, come on, have it immediately, baba, immediately. So that's something that has stayed with me. So whenever I have a bad cold, or my kids or my hubby has a bad cold, I give them this. So now you can see the consistency is completely changed. It now looks like a thick cream. So beat it really well, and you'll get this nice big thick consistency like this. So that you will not see any yellow of the egg yolk anymore. And now we're going to add the other ingredients, the other 2 ingredients. Now for this, your coffee has to be piping hot. It has to literally, like be like this. You can see the the thing coming out of the coffee really being piping hot. Now we're going to add the brandy to this egg and sugar mixture, and we're going to stir it in really well. Now we all know that brandy also is a good remedy for a bad cold, but had like this with this egg flip, it's really amazing. And now you're just going to pour your hot coffee in, and you are going to stir it in, and you're going to have it like instantly. I remember my dad used to like put it into the coffee and like, baba, have it immediately. Don't wait for it to get even a little bit change the temperature. So that's it, guys. This is a traditional recipe, a Goan recipe, and many of you might be even familiar with this. Your grandmoms or your nanas or your moms must have given you this, and I just wanted to share this with you guys. So I hope you like this recipe. Thanks for watching. Bye. Recipe. So let's start. So here I have taken 1 cup of white bananas or white peas, wash them thrice under water really well, and then I'm going to soak them in 2 cups of water for at least 5 to 6 hours. Also, I'm going to soak a little bit of tamarind, about 1 teaspoon of tamarind in some water. And now we're going to roast some spices and some other ingredients. So let's go through the ingredients. So here I have taken 1 tablespoon of fennel seeds, which is also called sauf. Next, we're going to use about 10 peppercorns, which is also called as miri. Next, we're going to go with 1 tablespoon of poppy seeds, also known as khaskhas. About 4 cloves, which is lavang. Then we're going to use 1 inch of cinnamon, also known as dalchini. 1 tablespoon of coriander seeds or dhania. And 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds or jeera. Now we're also going to be using about 4 dried red chilies, 1 medium-sized onion, half a cup of freshly grated coconut, and a few curry leaves, about 5 to 6 fresh curry leaves. So let's start with today's recipe. Now I'm going to take a pan and I'm going to dry roast all the whole spices, leaving out the dry red chilies, the onion and the curry leaves. All the other spices that I've shown you, we're going to dry roast them for about a minute or so till you get the lovely aroma. And then you're going to transfer this to a nice clean and dry bowl. Now in the same pan, after wiping it with a clean cloth, I'm just going to add about 1 teaspoon of oil. And now I'm going to add the dry red chilies, the curry leaves and the onion. And we're going to fry these 3 ingredients for about 2 to 3 minutes till you get the lovely aroma of the curry leaves and the onion, and the chilies also fried well. We're going to transfer this to the bowl. And then I'm going to add just about half a teaspoon more of oil, and we're going to add the fresh coconut. We're going to fry this coconut really well till it becomes nice and dark brown or light brown in color rather. So just fry it for about a minute or two, and then you'll see that it turns into this light brown kind of fried coconut. We're going to add this to the bowl too. Now we're going to let all of these ingredients come to room temperature. And then we are going to add them to our mixer jar. And now I'm going to squeeze out the pulp of the tamarind. And we're going to use that water to grind this masala or the paste. So add the water. It should be about 4 or 5 tablespoons of water. And I'm also going to add another 4 teaspoons of plain water. And we're going to grind this to a very fine paste. So this is the paste that is ready. To that I'm going to add half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. Now I don't like to add the turmeric powder into the mixer jar because it discolors the lid. But if you want, you can go ahead and add the turmeric powder while you're grinding the paste itself. So now I'm going to be adding, now after 5 to 6 hours of soaking the vatana, I'm going to add it to the pressure pan. To that I'm going to add 1 small onion that I've chopped fine, a little bit of salt, mix all of this really well. And then we're going to cook this for 1 whistle on high and then simmer it or cook it on a very low flame for 10 minutes. So now we have our paste ready, and now we just have to let the vatanas cook. So once the cooker has cooled down completely to room temperature, you can see that the white vatanas or the white peas are now completely cooked. You can check by just, taking one of the vatanas and just pressing them. They should just, crumble into pieces. That means it's cooked. If it's not cooked, then again add it back to your cooker and cook it for another 5 to 6 minutes. So now I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of oil. I've transferred the vatanas to another bowl. And now once the oil is nice and hot, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of mustard seeds or mori or rye. And then I'm going to add half a teaspoon of hinga or asafoetida. Now I'm going to add this ground paste to the oil. And we're going to fry the paste really well. Keep your flame between low to medium and fry the paste well in the oil. And now to the bowl in which we had kept the paste, I'm just going to add a little bit of water, about 1/4 cup of water, and mix the paste so that we don't waste any of the lovely goodness of this paste that we ground. So we can use this water. So now I'm going to add the cooked watanas to the masala. The aroma in my kitchen is just fabulous with all of these lovely spices. Mix everything together. Now we're going to add this paste water. Mix everything well. Now this is a little bit of a thickish gravy, so don't add more water. We don't want it to be very runny. It should be more on the thicker side, like an usar. And now of course we're going to flavor it with some salt to taste. So you can add as much or as little salt as you like. Go give it a taste once you add the salt. Always add a little salt at a time. And then I also like to add just a little pinch of sugar. You can also add jaggery if you like. And then mix everything really well. And then I'm just going to cover and cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes on a low to medium flame, stirring in between. And now after 2 to 3 minutes, our lovely recipe is all ready, and I like to serve this with some hot chapatis or puris. You can also have this with pao. Don't forget to add a nice big dash of lime or lemon juice, and you can enjoy this. So I hope you like today's recipe. I hope you will give it a try. I'll see you soon. Make these puris. So I've just taken about 2 cups of whole wheat flour, added a pinch of salt and some water, and made a dough like this, which is very, very stiff. It shouldn't be like a chapati dough or a roti dough. It should be really, really stiff. And then I've kept some oil for heating. Then you got to just rub, grease your hands with a little bit of oil, and then just make small balls like this out of the dough, even-sized balls, and then press them down. So ensure that your hands are nice and greased with some oil, so that they don't dry up. Now our oil is heating on a low to medium heat. And now once I've rolled out, I'm just going to fry a few just to show you all on for the video. And then I'm just going to roll them out. Not too much or not too less. I mean, we don't want them very thin. They should be a little bit thick, about 1/2 inch of thickness. And ensure that your oil is also very nice and hot. And then just put them into the hot oil. And then just press them down like this so they start to puff up. And once they puff up, just turn them over so that they get evenly fried on both sides till they're nice and golden brown in color. So you don't need to add anything. It's just plain whole wheat flour with a pinch of salt. You can even skip the salt if you don't want to have too much of salt. And just add a little water at a time and make it into a very, very firm dough. And then just drain all the excess oil of the puris onto a kitchen napkin once they're nice and fried. So today we had this patar bhaji with puris, and we had some Arroz at hand. So we had that too. So it was a real treat. So do try out these, this recipe of patar bhaji and puris, and do let me know in the comments section below how you liked it. I would love to hear from you. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you soon. Now here I have about 200 grams or 1 cup of guar jaggery. Now I'm just going to take a knife and I'm just going to grate it like this. You can also use a cheese grater. It's very easy to do it. It just, you can immediately grate it. It's very, very simple. Now this guar jaggery is palm jaggery. So I'm using this regular cup to measure all my ingredients. So this is exactly 1 cup. And I'm also going to be using 1 cup of rice flour. along with 1 cup of desiccated coconut. Now you could use fresh coconut too for this recipe. I'm also going to be using 1 teaspoon of cardamom or elaichi powder, which is freshly ground, and about a 1/4 cup of water. Now here I've just heated up a pan. And to this pan, we're going to add our goa jaggery as well as the water. Now we're just going to stir this on a low flame, low to medium flame, till all of our jaggery completely melts. It doesn't take more than 2 to 3 minutes, but you have to continuously stir the mixture. Now, with regard to the rice flour, I'm using roasted rice flour, which I do get in my general store. But the other way is you just take regular rice, roast it, and then when it cools down, completely grind it and strain it. So you can do that, or if you get roasted rice flour, which is easily available in some stores, you can use that. So I'm using the roasted rice flour. So now it takes about 2 to 3 minutes for the entire mixture to smoothen up like this. Ensure that there are no lumps of the jaggery. Now once it completely dissolves, we're going to add our elaichi powder or our cardamom powder and mix it in well. Now we're going to add the desiccated coconut, or if you're using fresh coconut, it's time to add the fresh coconut, and you're going to mix it completely into the jaggery till you don't see any white specks. That means our coconut is completely mixed up with our jaggery. Now once that is done and you find that the coconut has mixed, just add a little bit of our roasted rice flour, a little at a time. Mix everything in well till you get a nice dark brown mixture and there's no white left. Even if a little bit of white is left, it's okay, because once our mixture cools down, we are going to knead the mixture completely. So now once everything is done, just let the mixture completely cool down to room temperature, and then we're just going to knead it a bit. And what I've done is I've just taken a little bit of clarified butter or ghee on the palm of my hands, and I'm just going to knead this mixture a bit. And then I've just taken a little bit of desiccated coconut and kept it in a plate, and I'm just going to form the pinag shape, which is like a small croquet. So we're just going to form it like this. And now I am dipping it in or rolling it in some desiccated coconut. That is completely optional, but it looks very pretty. So just spread out the desiccated coconut a bit and then just roll it into the mixture. And then just flatten the edges a bit. And that's it. So this recipe was requested by my regular viewer and someone who's really so sweet and who really sends me lovely comments and messages, and that is Pearl D'Souza. So Pearl, you had asked me for my version of the Goan sweet called pinagre or pinaka. So this is it. So do try it out and let me know how you liked it. So this is what we're going to do with the rest of the dough. And with these measures of the ingredients that I've used, I got exactly 9 pinagres or pinaka. It's a very easy sweet to make and it tastes simply delicious. So as far as the Goa jaggery, do let me know in Mumbai wherever you're staying, whether you can, from where do you source your Goa jaggery. Because I got mine from Nature's Basket. It's called palm sugar. So it is Goa jaggery, because once I tasted it, I just knew, okay, this is Goa jaggery, because I have had a lot of Goa jaggery. During my childhood, whenever we used to go to Goa, my mom and dad used to always pick up Goa jaggery, and it comes in this typical pyramid form. So I got mine from Nature's Basket, but if any of you all know where in Mumbai or Bombay we can get this, then please leave it in the comment section below. It'll be really helpful for our viewers and for anyone who's really looking to use Goa jaggery. So that's it, friends. It's such an easy recipe. It hardly had any ingredients. And like I said, if you want to use the ready-made roasted rice flour, you can do that. Otherwise, just take rice, the regular rice that you use at your home, just roast it a bit in a pan, let it cool down, completely grind it, and then just sieve it. You need to sieve it, otherwise it will not come to the right consistency. So I hope you guys try out this recipe, and do let me know in the comment section as to how it turned out and how you liked it. And stay tuned to Akshata's recipes. There's a lots more coming up. I have many recipes to share. So stay tuned, and of course subscribe to my channel. Once you subscribe, hit the bell, because that way whenever I put up a new recipe, you'll get a message for the same, so you won't miss out anything happening on my channel. So they formed so well that it's so easy to break it up, and it's simply delicious. Today's recipe is this amazing Goan jeera mere. It goes amazingly well with some fresh and soft pav, or even some steamed rice. Now remember, this is just enough for 250 grams of chicken. I will leave instructions for a little bigger batch, which you can store in your refrigerator in a clean, dry glass bottle. So this is just enough for today's recipe. That is the measurement of the spices. I'm going to be using 4 teaspoons of cumin powder or jeera powder, 3 teaspoons of black pepper powder, 1 teaspoon of clove powder. Now just roast these whole spices separately and just grind them in your mixer pot. 1/4 teaspoon of haldi powder or turmeric powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of red chili powder. So just mix all of this together, and that is your spice powder or jeera mere powder ready. Now these are the measurements for a little bigger batch, so you can make this and store it. It does have a long shelf life, about a month or 2 months, and you can use them for making fish jeera mere or beef jeera mere. Now let's go to the other ingredients that we're going to require for this. So I'm making it with the chicken. So I'm using 250 grams of boneless chicken breast, which I've just cut into small cubes. 2 medium-sized onions chopped roughly. 5 cloves of garlic and 1 inch of ginger crushed into a paste. 1 small tomato chopped. 2 light green chilies, which are the less spicy ones, slit and then cut into half. 1 medium-sized potato, peeled, chopped, and just kept in some water so it doesn't get discolored. 1 tablespoon of tamarind soaked in 1/2 cup of warm water. We're going to squeeze out the juice, and some salt to taste. And of course, this amazing jeera mere powder, which is so aromatic, and it gives such a beautiful flavor to the dish. So let's begin making this jeera mere recipe. I'm going to start by heating 2 tablespoons of oil in my pot. Once my oil is hot, I'm going to be adding in my onion, and I'm going to be sauteing it till it gets nice and translucent on a low to medium flame. You got to saute it well till the rawness of the onion goes away. Now we're going to add our ginger garlic paste that we have crushed up in a mortar and pestle. We want a little coarse paste, not a very fine paste. You can use a fine ready-made paste too, or I have a recipe for how to make ginger garlic paste at home. I'll leave a link below. You can use that. Now just add your slit green chilies. Now if you want it less spicy, you can keep it to 1 green chili, because we are adding some red chili powder too. So either you alter the amount of chilies or you alter the amount of red chili powder. Now we're going to add the chopped up tomato. And now what is very important is fry all of this very well so that they get nice and cooked. So fry this for about a minute or so. Now this jeera mere, once it's ready, it always tastes better on the next day somehow. And now once everything is well done, you can add your cubed chicken. And it's also very important to fry the chicken very well for a minute or so. Now you will come to know, because the chicken turns from a pink color to a white and then a slightly brown. You get a little slightly brown tint. This is also very key, that you fry it very well with this bagar. So like I was saying, it tastes always amazing the next day. I think with most of the Goan dishes, even Sorak or, any kind of curry, always tastes better the next day once kept overnight in the refrigerator. Now we're going to add this jeera mere powder that we've just prepared. Again, mix this in well and fry it in well. Now, I remember in the good old days when my grandmom used to make this, she used to actually grind, the green chilies and the ginger garlic and a few of the whole spices on the grinding stone. Sometimes I used to be delegated that job. And even that used to add a different flavor to this dish. But of course, in today's modern age, we need to, be quick and prepare things on an easier basis. So now I've just drained the water from the potatoes and I've added it to the chicken. Now, if you don't like potatoes in your curries, you can drop out the potatoes. I love potatoes in my curry. Even in my chicken curries, I love adding potatoes. I don't know, it just gives a different flavor to the recipe. And I think most Goan dishes, meat dishes, do call for potatoes in the recipe. Of course, if you're making this with fish, then please don't add potatoes. It will really taste very weird. So now you're going to add just 1 cup of water at room temperature. Just mix in everything very, very well. Now this water is going to cook our chicken as well as our potatoes. So now we're going to put a high flame to our pot and we're going to let it all come to a boil. That's very important, that it boils on a high flame. And once it starts to boil, then we are going to simmer it. So it's very important that the entire pot starts boiling on a high flame. And then once it starts to boil, we're going to simmer or slow down the flame. And now it's time to add some seasoning. So we're going to add salt to taste. I've added about 3/4 of a teaspoon. It's always better to add less salt first and then, taste it later and find that if you find the salt is less, then add the salt later. And now we're just going to squeeze out the tamarind pulp and just use the juice that we've squeezed out and add that to our recipe. We're going to stir in the salt and the tamarind juice well in the dish. When I was making this jeera mere, my entire home was smelling so amazing, and it just reminded me of my grandmom's home. And then just cover this and cook it on a very, very low flame for about 10 to 15 minutes, stirring in between, checking in between. You can add a little more water if you find that it's drying up. And after waiting patiently, just cut up some soft, fresh pao and just pour this amazing jeera mere in a bowl. Doesn't it look really delicious? You have to make this to actually relish the deliciousness of it, the aroma of it, and it's really, really a different kind of dish. It reminds me of a kind of a stew, although it's not exactly a stew, but it just goes, I think, best with pao. The pao just soaks in all the deliciousness and goodness of this jeera mere. So the beef jeera mere tastes different, the fish tastes different, so you can try it out and let me know in the comments box below how your jeera mere turned out. You can also pour it on some lovely hot steamed rice, and it tastes amazing. And the potatoes also just taste divine with all of these spices. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!